Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Gorgie Boys podcast with myself, Graham Duthie. Haven't done one of these for a while, but thought after what happened on Saturday, I thought I better try and put something out there. Now, I've done a few things on TikTok the last few days, but I wanted to put something out on my own podcast. Now, it's been very, very optimistic the last few weeks. It's been very good the last few weeks. Obviously, we won all the Premier Sports Cup games, which I'd expect the teams we're playing against. And in the league, it's been a very good start. 2 wins out of 2. Looking pretty solid defensively. Obviously managed to score a few goals. Up until Saturday, we scored 21 goals this season in the league and cup. Now, I know that a lot of those goals are against lower league teams, but it's been far more positive. I think we've looked a bit more creative. We're scoring goals from set pieces, something we've not done for a while. And it's been very positive for the last few weeks. You know, we had the Tony Bloom when he had the interview at the Foundation of Hearts event, and I thought he talked very, very well. He talked about having the ambition of trying to win the league, and he'd be disappointed if we've not won the league in the next 10 years, which I think is great. You know, I like that ambition. I like that kind of talk. I know fans of other clubs have looked at that and thought that's just nonsense, but it's not like he said winning the league now. He's talking within the next 10 years, which I think is a very good thing to say. Now, whether it can happen, I don't know. Hopefully it can. But it's been very positive. I think the signings have all bedded in pretty well. Obviously, there's a couple of players I'm going to talk about very shortly when we look at the game on Saturday. But everything's been very positive. You know, it's been very, very good. Our performances have been pretty decent. You look at the game last week against Dundee United. You know, we're 1-0 up through the penalty from Shankland, and you think, right, let's go and get this game won now. But not long after that, we go 2-1 down. Poor mistakes from Xander Clark. I'm a big Xander Clark fan. I've kind of said it before that I think we're lucky to have certainly two very good goalkeepers in Craig Gordon and Xander Clark. Obviously, with Gordon being injured just now, it's Clark's gloves to lose. Rand Fulton's not a bad backup as a third choice goalkeeper, but Xander Clark knew himself that he was at fault for those goals last week, and especially the second one. You know, that should not go on his body. But again, as much as he can be blamed for that, I think defensively we were quite poor there. You know, Alan Forrest playing at that right wing back position just did not work. He didn't look comfortable there, and he gets caught ball watching, as does Frankie Kent. But something that I think was pretty good about Hearts was the fact that we came back. We made changes at half-time. We changed the system, went 4-4-2 and looked a lot better. And then obviously we get the 2 goals from Stuart Finlay. 2 fantastic headers. I was in Liverpool last week with my laddie doing the Liverpool tour, the Anfield tour. So I didn't actually get to watch the game. But I saw the highlights, and those goals are fantastic headers. The first one, to be going back the way and to arch your neck that way to get that much power on that header is a fantastic header. And the second goal, what a diving header that is. Great ball in from Kizarides from the corner, fantastic header. Too often at Hearts over the last few years, it's been really frustrating. Nobody wants to see the man beat the first player from a corner kick. Now, thankfully, last week that actually managed to happen, and we managed to do that. And 2 fantastic headers. And to come back and win the game, I don't think that was a game we probably win last season. So I thought there was a bit of a change in mentality, a bit of a change in attitude. You know, the fact that we get back to 2-2 and we don't go, right, that's it, we'll take a draw. We go and win the game. That's what I like to see. And it's said to me that there's definitely a change in mentality here. And again, I listened to Derek McInnes' after-match interviews. Every interview McInnes had done, I've listened to. And he's been bang on the money every time he said something. Even looking back at the game against Stirling Albion in the League Cup. Now, we win the game 4-0, but he wasn't happy. He was demanding standards, and I like that. So there's been a lot of positivity. Performance has been decent. I thought the Aberdeen game, first game of the season, we looked okay for most of the game. There was a lull, probably start the second half for 20 minutes. And then once we get the second goal, we probably could have gone and scored a few more. But the main thing was winning that opening game, and we've managed to win our first 2 games. We play Motherwell next week on Saturday, which will not be easy at Tynecastle, but we have to bounce back because, of course, we had the penalty defeat to St Mirren on Saturday in the Premier Sports Cup. Now, when the draw was made, it was going to be difficult. You know, obviously, we couldn't draw against Celtic, Rangers or Hibs because they were seeded. It was probably the most difficult game we could have got, going to Paisley. But Derek McInnes' record in management over St Mirren has been pretty good. He had 1 defeat in 33. So it was pretty good going into that game. And you looked at the team sheet when it lined up, and it was a 3-4-3 formation. So Xander Clark in goal, back 3 of Kent, Halkett and Finlay. On the right-hand side of that kind of wing-back position was Ocean McEntee. On the left, it was Harry Milne. And then Magnuson making his debut alongside Cammy Devlin. And the front three, Kisridas on the right, Kabore on the left, and Shankland up front. And you kind of looked at the team and thought, it's a big one, that, starting Magnuson and Kabore. Actually, I think I've got Kabore and Kisridas the wrong way around there. But anyway, you looked at the team shot and thought, that's bold, playing both of those guys. Clearly, they've done well in training. They've done well in that bounce game against Ross County. I know it doesn't mean anything. It was about fitness and stuff. But clearly, he saw something that he thought, I can start these two. And I was interested to see them. Kabore's got a great record in terms of goal scoring in Estonia. Mainly, I think, playing out front. I know he can play out wide. But I just thought very early on, the system just didn't work. And something that I kind of have to talk about here is the right side. There has been talked about previously. If you're going to bring back Adam Forrester, if you're not going to send a right back, if you're going to bring back Forrester, you've got to play him, or you play Steinwinder. Ocean McEntee is not a right back. When he was signed, he was a midfielder. But of course, we were told he could play right back. But he doesn't look comfortable there. Every game he's played at right wing back or right back, he's not looked comfortable. He's a big laddie. He can get forward and get back, but he just does not look comfortable. He's not natural there. The game he played against Aberdeen in midfield, sitting at the park alongside Devlin, for me, there was two players of the match that day, McEntee and Devlin. They were great. Why are we doing this square peg round holes again? I thought we were done with this. We need to stop playing players out of position because it doesn't work. And I thought McEntee was quiet on Saturday. He tried his best, but he was quiet, of course. But he got his goal. Really good baller from the corner. We're 1-0 down at the time. But we need to stop trying to shoehorn players into positions they don't really want to play. I'll get to that very shortly. But, I don't think Hearts were great first half on Saturday. I don't think the system works at all. Magnuson and Kabore really struggled to get into the game. I don't think it helped Madison getting booked inside the first 5 minutes. And after that, he really couldn't do very much. He just could not get involved in the game at all. And he just struggled. But the whole team struggled. We had nothing going forward. We created very little. There was nothing from Kabore, Shankland or Kisridas. They couldn't get on the ball. We didn't have any control of the game at all. But, St Mirren had a couple of chances before they scored. But the goal we conceded in that first half is dreadful defending. I've been very positive about the defence recently, but it was really poor on this one. The goal, it's a free kick put into the box. Alex Goggett should not get that much time to take that on the volley. It's poor from Shankland and Kent. They both lose them. And it's a good finish. Nothing Zander Clark can do about that. Don't blame him for that at all. But defensively, it was so poor. We've prided ourselves recently on being pretty solid defensively. That wasn't good enough. And after that, you're thinking, right, we're 1-0 down. We came back last week. We can do it again. But we didn't really create anything. We had a lot of the ball, but it was all going back the way and sideways again. It's a bit like it was last season and previous seasons. We weren't getting the ball forward quick enough. We weren't really controlling the tempo of the game. It wasn't working at all. And you kind of thought, we have to make changes. We had a couple of kind of headers in the first half from set pieces that went over the bar, but nothing. It's not like Shamal George was really tested, but then neither was Zander Clark, to be honest. And the second half, again, a bit like Dundee United. Again, you kind of think maybe he'll wait 10 minutes to make changes, but he doesn't. McInnes makes changes straight away. He makes 3 changes. Takes off Magnuson, Kabore and Kisridas. Puts on Benny, Kabangu and Braga. And I thought we looked slightly better. We started to get the ball in behind a bit more. We started to look a bit more attacking. I thought Braga was really good when he came on. He had that threat in behind up until we'd only had 2 shots on target up until McEntee scored. They were both Claudio Braga's efforts. He's such a skillful player, but his work rate is very good. You can play the ball in behind and he'll run onto it. And I thought he looked good when he came on. But we started to control the game a bit more. We had more of the ball, a bit more possession, because St Mirren weren't really creating a lot. But neither were we. We weren't really creating very much. And then we get the equaliser, of course. Great balling, another set piece FC. Great balling from Harry Milne, back post. And a good header from Ocean McEntee. And you think, right, equaliser, let's go and do what we did last week. Let's go and win this game. But again, for all the position that we had, we didn't really create much. I can't really think of many saves that Shamal George had to make. Zander Clark wasn't really tested either. I kind of, thinking about this earlier, I struggle to think, after Goggett scored for St Mirren, I'm struggling to think of another chance they actually had in the game. But we just didn't do enough of the possession we had. There's no point having all the possession if we don't create anything with it. And we just did not create enough. So, of course, the game goes to extra time. And again, I thought Hearts were very much in control, dominated possession, dominated the tempo of the game, but did not create a single chance. I cannot think off the top of my head a chance that we really created. And again, we make a lot of changes during the second half and during extra time. But again, nothing really worked, I don't think. It was very, very flat, I thought, at times. And of course, once the game goes to penalties, I think both teams, you could tell in the last 10 minutes of extra time that neither team wanted to lose the game. Nobody was really going for it, and penalty kicks is a lottery. I don't blame Clyde Braga. He's the only player that missed, unfortunately. Such a great song he's got as well. But I don't blame him at all. It's one of these things. If he puts it over the bar or puts it wide, I might criticise him. But he gets it on target. It's a decent save from Shamal George. I think Xander Clark should save at least one of those penalties. It goes underneath his body. It wasn't great. Again, penalties are difficult. After that, it got nowhere near them. And unfortunately, we went out 5-4 on penalties. And it just feels like we are destined never to win this Premier Sports Cup. I've never seen Hearts win the League Cup, but then a lot of folk haven't either. I think the last time we came close, and it still actually annoys me to this day, and it was St Mirren. That 2013 League Cup final, we lose 3-2. We should have won that game. If Michael Ngoo and John Sutton could have scored, we'd have won that game quite comfortably. We didn't win it. And it still annoys me to this day. But I think it's 64 years and counting now. We're just destined to never win this League Cup. Still got the Scottish Cup to go for. Hopefully that might be an omen. But yeah, it was very, very poor from Hearts on Saturday. And to be fair, Derek McInnes has taken a bit of the criticism for that, and he says that he maybe got the team wrong at the start. He maybe should have introduced Kabore and Manderson off the bench. But I think we've got to learn lessons. And one of the lessons is, I always think for me, no matter who you play against, you pick your best team and your best formation. And you only change it if you've got injuries or suspensions. Now, I think at the moment, we've got a lot of new players on the door. I don't think we know our best 11 yet. And I think over the course of the season, it probably will come that we'll have our best 11. But I don't think we know our best 11 yet. But one thing we have to do for me going forward, and especially against Motherwell next week, we have to change it to 4-4-2. We've changed it in every game so far. Aberdeen, Dundee United, we've changed it to 4-4-2. We do not look comfortable with three at the back. And again, I keep talking about the fact that right back position, if we're not going to go centre right back, and it looks like we're not going to, you either play Adam Forrester or you play Steinwender. Now, Steinwender came on during the game. Forrester wasn't involved at all. But stop playing McEntee. It doesn't look comfortable. McEntee looks far, far better in midfield. It should be McEntee and another, whether it's Devlin, whether it's Benny. Benny came on, thought he did okay. Obviously he took his penalty quite well. Who'd have thought it was a decent penalty as well. But we need to stop shoehorning players in. We need to stop playing players out of position. Going forward, we have to start playing 4-4-2, I think, because it looks our best system. And McInnes wants to play with wide players and two up front. Well, you're not going to be doing that if you keep playing that three at the back. It's not going to work. We have to start playing 4-4-2. I think for me, if fit on Saturday against Motherwell, I'd go Xander Clark in goal. I wouldn't drop him. I personally, for me, wouldn't drop him. Left back, obviously, Harry Milne. Right back, I'd probably go Steinwender. I do like Forrester, but he wasn't involved on Saturday. I think for me, I'd probably play Steinwender. And then the centre-back pairing, I personally think, and I might get clipped for this, I personally think our weakest centre-back is Frankie Kent. Now, I do like him, but I don't think he's particularly great on the ball. Good in the air, but I don't think he's great on the ball. So for me, the two centre-backs have to be Craig Halkin and Stuart Finlay. On the left, Kazarides. On the right, again, if he's fit, Kerjota. And in midfield, I would go the same partnership I played against Aberdeen. I'd play Devlin and McEntee. And then up front, Clyde Braga back in the starting lineup and Lauren Shankland. That, for me, is the way to go. Two wide men, two up front. Stop trying to shoehorn players and playing players out of position, because you lose the balance of the team when you do that, and we just don't create enough when you're playing that system. So that, for me, what should happen on Saturday. But like I said, it's been a positive start. I'm not going to go mental or throw folk under the bus because of one game in the League Cup. We've played 2 league games. We're still unbeaten. We play Motherwell on Saturday at Tynecastle. Difficult game. They've got a new manager in. They've got a lot of new players that still bedding in. They were pretty decent against Rangers in the first game. But it's a game that we need to try and win. We're at Tynecastle. I think, again, it'll be a full house. We have to go, and I've actually seen Dennis McInnes's interview before today, where he talked about getting the fans on side and starting really well. We have to press right from the first whistle. And that's something that Claudio Braga's given us since he's come in. That willingness to press. I just think with him not starting on Saturday, we kind of missed that. I felt sorry for Magus and Kabore. I said this on TikTok as well. They were thrown into a difficult situation. Going to Paisley is not easy. That is not the kind of game I think you need to start them. It's going to be physical. St Mirren's a physical team. They're a good side under Robinson. Robinson's just signing a new contract, of course, but they're a difficult side to play against. I think in hindsight, it probably wasn't the right idea to start them. And I think he has said that. They just didn't really get involved. So I think it'll take time. They have only just arrived. I think it'll take time for them to find their feet in Scottish football. But once they get up to the kind of physical nature of Scottish football, realize how quick it can be, I think there'll be really good signings. But again, for me, looking at Kabore, I think if he's going to start, he's got to play up front. Again, I know when he came in, there was talk he could play all on the front line, but I think he looks better as a striker for me. And look at his goal scoring record. So I think there are lessons to be learned. As I say, I'm not going to go too hard because Saturday can happen. You can lose on penalties, that happens. But we just need to get the right players in the right positions and start playing a system that's going to suit us and the players we've got. And that for me is 4-4-2 all the way. Then we've got big games to come. I think after Saturday we've got Livingston. And then I think we've got Rangers after that, Ibrox. There's an international break coming along as well. International break comes far too early. You want to try and build momentum, especially in the league, and the international break comes along and kind of ruins that. But the winnable games coming up here, the next two games, Motherwell and Livingston. If we can win both those games and we go to Ibrox undefeated, fantastic. That'll be a great start. But again, I know people maybe don't look at what managers say. I kind of do. I've listened to so many managers over the past few years that when they talk, you just think, have I watched a different game from you? I don't get that with McInnes. McInnes has been very honest in every interview. And he has taken a portion of the blame for Saturday, which I quite like as well. He's not tried to sugarcoat things. But we need to just play a system that's actually going to suit us and get the best out of these players. And again, I think the biggest thing for me is on Saturday, the lack of creativity. We just didn't create enough. Again, we were looking really for set pieces. Of course, that's where the goal came from. But we need to start doing more in terms of creating more going forward. Now, I don't think we'll sign anyone else in this window, unless, of course, we can get Chesnikov in. But that's looking more like January. Again, I know Tobo Castani won again yesterday. I think they're 2 points off the top. So they're not going to let him go now when they've still got a title to try and win. I've seen a lot of folk talking about the goalkeeping situation. Needs to sign a goalkeeper. There's a lot of talk about the young Everton goalkeeper. Is it Harry Tyler, I think his name is, 23-year-old. I'm not convinced we need another goalkeeper. Craig Gordon will be back very shortly. I've already said previously, Craig Gordon for me is the best keeper I've seen in my lifetime at Hearts. But I like Xander Clark. Said it previously. Yes, against United he was poor and he has to do better. And the penalty that goes under him, I think he should do better as well. But I'm not ready to drop him. I still think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. And he was excellent last season. The season before. But I just think, I do think Xander Clark's a good goalkeeper. And I wouldn't drop him. Unless he keeps making mistakes. And of course, you've got to think about it. But I don't think we need another goalkeeper. And for me, Fulton, absolutely no problem with that at all. I think he's a decent backup. Harry Stone was on the bench on Saturday, didn't get on. It's more than likely he's going to go on loan. There, again, has been talking about maybe looking to try and sign a creative midfielder, certainly from the fans, but I don't think that's going to happen. There was talk about Harry Howell, the young laddie from Brighton at 17. That's the only position I think I'd like to see us strengthen him, is that attacking midfielder, because I don't think we've got that. Nuenhoff, again, wasn't involved on Saturday. He played in that bounce game last week. I'd like to see Nuenhoff get back in. I think he's a proper box-to-box player. He can get forward. He can score goals. I'd like to see him getting a chance in there. But I just think we've got to start on Saturday on the front foot against Motherwell. We need to forget about Saturday against St Mirren. It's done now. We lost. We're out. But we need to move on in the league and try and pick up as many league points as we can. But I just pray that on Saturday we play 4-4-2. 2 wide men, 2 up front, and let's go after Motherwell right for the start. Let's press them right from the front. And, let's get another victory on the board here at home. I think our home form is going to be important this season. And Tynecastle should be. McInnes has talked about it. He doesn't want folk to come to Tynecastle and enjoy it. He wants them to have a difficult game. And that's what has to happen on Saturday. We've got to try and win all our home games and then pick up what we can away from home. But Saturday, I think I'm going to go for a prediction. It'll be difficult. Motherwell will come and make it tough. But I do think Hearts should have more than enough to win this game. As long as they go 4-4-2. I'm going to go Hearts 2, Motherwell 0. And I'm going to go Clyde O'Brien to score the first goal. And I'm going to Lawrence Shankland to score the second goal. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Just a quick one today because I wanted to put something out there because I've not done one of these for a while. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week, whatever you're doing.